In this module, we have examined the navigation, performance, guidance, and display functions of the flight management system in the Fokker 100. And we have seen that these functions are performed by two flight management computers. In this topic, we will discuss information presented on the CDU pages and examine how to enter and edit data at the CDUs. In CDU controls and indicators, we will concentrate on the CDU keypad and on data fields, text size, and special characters presented on the CDU screen. In the learning activities on the CDU pages, we will locate the pages that you would normally access during a typical flight profile and describe the data presented on these pages. In the activity on entering data, we shall examine the use of the alphanumeric keypad and the line select keys. The final activity in the description section allows you to review the CDU pages you have encountered so far. In the operations section of this topic, you will be able to enter data at the CDU for a Gatwick to Düsseldorf flight. You will also be able to review the flight plan at the navigation display, make flight plan modifications, and examine flight profile data at the appropriate CDU pages. Finally, at the end of this module, you will be presented with a mastery test. The Flight Management System Control Display Unit acts as the interface between the pilot and the flight management computer. The screen displays FMS data on selectable pages. Keys are used to select pages for display and to enter data into the FMC. And annunciators on the CDU give status messages regarding the flight management system. The CDU display is presented on aircraft power-up. The brightness of the display is adjusted using the knob on the CDU. Inbuilt light sensors will control the brightness of the display to compensate for ambient light conditions. There are four major fields on the CDU display screen: the title field, the left field, the right field, and the scratchpad field. The title field states the name of the page being displayed. The left and right fields are each split into 6 data fields. Each data field can be split into a label line and a data line. The scratchpad is used to enter data into the FMS. The text type and characters shown on the screen indicate the nature of the information being displayed. A large font indicates that the information is entered data, active data, or a flight plan constraint. A small font indicates that the information is computed data, inactive data, or a label line. The display uses a number of special characters. Boxes indicate that data must be entered in a field. Note that once data has been entered in a field, data in others may be automatically calculated. Dashes show that the data is in the process of being computed or that an invalid entry has been made. A horizontal arrow in the top right-hand corner indicates that a next or previous page is available. Brackets indicate that there is an option to enter data at this field. The chevron pointer shows that the indicated line select key may be used to access the labeled page. Selection of a field marked with an asterisk will alter the flight plan. Vertical arrows show that not all the information on this page is being displayed. The page may be scrolled up and down. A waypoint in the flight plan marked with a triangle is one that must be flown over. The plus character indicates greater or equal to the displayed value. In this case, the constraint states a flight level over COXI of at or above flight level 50. Likewise, the minus character indicates less than or equal to. The slash character is used to separate two pieces of information in a data line. The CDU will enunciate unusual FMS operation. The display enunciation indicates that the selected flight plan position does not correspond to the aircraft present position. In the case of a CDU failure, the fail message is displayed. Offset is shown when an offset flight plan is active. When message is enunciated, a more detailed message is displayed in the CDU scratch pad. In these circumstances, an enunciation appears on the PFD directing the pilot to look at the scratch pad. There are 4 FMS messages that are displayed directly on the PFD: altitude change, decelerate, add drag, and less drag. Note that these are concerned with primary flight data. We will now briefly consider the keys on the CDU. Techniques for page selection and entering data will be dealt with in detail later. The alphanumeric keys are used to enter data into the scratchpad field. The clear key can be used for editing the scratchpad and clearing data fields. A line select key is used to enter data into the appropriate field from the scratchpad. Line select keys may also be used to make a selection from a page of options. When prompted, a line select key can be used to make a page selection. The mode keys are used to select pages for display. Function keys enable access to associated pages and to data that may be scrolled around the display. In this learning activity, we will examine CDU pages that are accessed by pressing the mode keys, discuss data that is presented on these CDU pages, and demonstrate access to additional pages via the line select keys. On aircraft power-up, the aircraft status page is displayed on both control display units. This page displays the aircraft type, engine type, in this instance 650-15s, active and secondary database cycles, operational program identifier, and a figure for fuel consumption. Data on the aircraft status page should be checked for accuracy before completing initialization. The status page displays lateral only in the engine data field if FMS profile is unavailable. To continue with this learning activity, we will examine data presented on the initialization pages. To access initialization page A, touch the Init key. Initialization page A displays fields with route data for a company route and flight number, the corresponding departure and destination airport pair, and the alternate route and alternate destination. Lat long position is displayed on line 3, together with arrow prompts that allow you to slew the current position value. Data fields at the bottom of Init A include the cost index field, cruise flight level, temperature, tropopause altitude, and cruise level wind direction and speed. All data fields on Init A are initially blank except tropopause altitude. Data can be entered in all fields, and data can be edited. Route data, however, cannot be cleared once it has been entered into the appropriate field. The Align IRS prompt next to the line select key for right passes the aircraft present position at the FMS CDU to IRSs and initializes the FMCs. With Init A complete, data is entered on Init page B. You will recall from an earlier learning activity that the horizontal arrow displayed at the right of the title field indicates that a next page is available. Move to Init page B now by touching the next page key. Init page B displays fields for block fuel weight, zero fuel weight, and takeoff gross weight. FMS requires data to be entered in 2 of these fields and calculates the value for the 3rd field. FMS then computes data for all other fields on init B. Computed data that can be updated includes taxi fuel weight, route reserve fuel weight or its percentage of trip fuel, fuel weight to alternate, fuel weight or time at final, cruise level, and center of gravity. The remaining computed data on init B includes landing weight, trip fuel and time, extra fuel and time, and the maximum and optimum flight levels. Label lines and values for maximum zero fuel weight, maximum takeoff gross weight, and maximum landing weight are displayed if these values are exceeded. Entered and calculated data on init page B are used by FMS for performance calculations and predictions. Init B cannot be accessed after engine start. Last-minute adjustments to gross weight can be made on the fuel prediction page, which we will examine later in this learning activity. We will continue our examination of CDU pages by examining flight plan pages A and B and the associated lateral and vertical revision pages. Locate flight plan page A now by pressing the correct function key. Flight plan page A displays a list of waypoints and pseudo-waypoints for the selected route, and label lines above the waypoints. These lines may display airways, as shown here, course, speed, and holding information. Note that a flight plan discontinuity occurs after Gatwick because no SID has been inserted in the flight plan. The right fields on flight plan A display FMS predictions for time, speed, and flight level. Speed and altitude constraints can be entered or edited on flight plan page A. FMS, however, does not allow database constraints to be overruled. The title field on flight plan A indicates flight number 118 for the Gatwick to Düsseldorf route. And as you will recall, the horizontal arrow indicates that a next page is available. Access flight plan page B now by pressing the appropriate function key. The left field on flight plan page B displays the same flight plan steps as flight plan A. The right field displays distance from the previous waypoint, with ground track for the next flight plan leg, temperature, and wind direction and speed. The vertical arrows on flight plan page A and on flight plan page B indicate that the flight plan can be scrolled using the scroll keys. Flight plan pages A and B are continuous loops, with the CDU screen providing a 6-line window onto the flight plan. Scrolling the flight plan in one direction will eventually return you to your starting point. We will examine scroll key operation and the associated CDU and ND displays in the operation section of this topic. To return to flight plan page A, you can press either the next page key or the flight plan key. Pressing the flight plan key would return you to the top of the active flight plan. The line select keys on flight plan pages A and B give access to lateral and vertical revision pages. The lateral revision page is selected by pressing a left line select key next to an en route waypoint. The same lateral revision page is accessed from flight plan page A and flight plan page B. Vertical revisions to the flight plan are made on vertical revision pages accessed by pressing a right line select key. Vertical revision page A is accessed from flight plan page A, and vertical revision page B is accessed from flight plan page B. Touch the appropriate line select key to examine the lateral revision page from the departure airport. The information and choices presented on a lateral revision page depend on which waypoint the revisions are made from. Active navigation database information allows access to two further lateral revision pages from Gatwick, the SID page and the hold page. Data that can be entered on the lateral revision page that directly modifies the flight plan includes inserting a new waypoint, inserting a new company route or new route to a new destination, or enabling the alternate flight plan. The return prompt allows you to return to the flight plan page from where you selected the lateral revision page. To preview SID options available from Gatwick, select the SID page from the lateral revision page. The SIDS page from Gatwick presents a column of SIDs that can be selected and a column of runways that can be selected. The up arrow indicates that more SIDs and runways can be viewed by scrolling this display up. Unlike the flight plan page, the SIDS page can only be scrolled to the top or bottom of the page. It does not scroll in a loop. We will discuss SID and runway selection more fully in the operations section of this topic. Return now to the lateral revision page by pressing the correct line select key. From the lateral revision page, you can return to the flight plan page. Now return to flight plan page A by pressing an appropriate key. You will recall that we originally accessed the lateral revision page from flight plan page A. Pressing return from the lateral revision page therefore returned us to flight plan page A. If the lateral revision page is accessed from flight plan page B, return accesses flight plan page B. Pressing the flight plan mode key always presents flight plan page A. The lateral revision page from Gatwick does not present all the lateral revision alternatives. To examine additional pages that can be accessed from lateral revision pages, make a lateral revision selection from Conan. The lateral revision page from Conan allows access to the standard terminal arrival routes page, the airways page, the holding pattern page, and the procedure turn page. Access the star page to review standard terminal arrival routes from Conan. Selecting the star page at Conan presents the standard terminal arrival routes to destination, allowing star selection and approach selection. Like the SID page, choices presented on the star page can be scrolled up and down if more than 6 lines are available. Selecting a star and/or an approach allows you to insert the star into the flight plan. We will examine star insertion and star modification in the operations section of this topic. To return to the lateral revision page without selecting or inserting a star, press the LSK next to the return prompt. Further pages that can be accessed from the lateral revisions page are the airways page, the hold page, and the procedure turn page. Access the hold page now to review holding pattern data. The hold page displays a database holding pattern for the waypoint selected. Details on this page can be edited, or the default holding pattern can be star inserted into the flight plan. Return to the lateral revision page now and select the airways page. The airways page from Conan allows selection of the Upper Green 1 and Upper Lima 1 airways, and the return prompt allows return to the lateral revision page without airway selection. Select the Upper Green 1 to review waypoints along this airway. The Upper Green 1 Airways page presents waypoints along 2 courses from the selected waypoint, either course 200 or course 100. The required course and waypoint can be selected by pressing the adjacent line select key. Return to the lateral revision page now using the line select keys and then select the procedure turn page. The procedure turn page requires data to be entered into the outbound course, inbound distance, and inbound course fields. Having reviewed the lateral revision pages, return to Flight Plan page A by pressing the Flight Plan key. Vertical revisions to the flight plan can be made by accessing one of two vertical revision pages. You will recall that the right field of Flight Plan page A displays predicted time, speed, and altitude. This data can be edited on the first vertical revision page. Touch the vertical revision key next to Coxie to edit data in the right fields. On the vertical revision A page, pilots can enter or edit speed, altitude, or time constraints. If the selected waypoint is in the cruise flight phase, vertical revision A presents an access prompt to the step prediction page. We will discuss step predictions more fully in the operations section of this topic. Pressing the Next Page function key from Vertical Revision Page A accesses Vertical Revision Page B. Vertical Revision Page B allows new values for temperature and wind direction and speed to be entered. You will recall from earlier in this learning activity that Vertical Revision Page B is also accessed directly from Vertical Revision selected at Flight Plan page B. To conclude discussion of CDU Flight Plan pages, access the secondary index by pressing the appropriate mode key. To conclude discussion of CDU Flight Plan pages, access the secondary index by pressing the appropriate mode key. The secondary flight plan index allows entry of a second company route or airport pair, or more normally, a copy is made of the active flight plan. An exact copy of the active flight plan is made by pressing line select key 3 left, and the secondary flight plan is cleared by pressing LSK 4 left. With a secondary flight plan entered, access prompts at the line select keys provide entry to the secondary flight plan pages A and B, the secondary fuel prediction page, the secondary mode page, and the secondary descent forecast page. Normally, a copy of the active flight plan is stored as the secondary flight plan in case the active flight plan is corrupted. The secondary flight plan is activated by pressing line select key 6 left. Finally, in this discussion of CDU flight plan pages, note that vertical and lateral revision pages that are accessed from the primary flight plan pages A and B are similarly accessed from secondary flight plan pages A and B. You have examined CDU pages concerned with flight plan entry and en route waypoints. To continue, we shall discuss the takeoff approach page, the mode and tactical mode page, and the progress page. We shall conclude this learning activity by examining the Direct To page, the Engine Out page, and the pages accessed from the reference index. Access the takeoff page by pressing the correct mode key. Prior to takeoff, pressing the Takeoff Approach page presents the takeoff page. Boxed data fields indicate that FMS requires values for V1. VR is not necessarily required, as only V1 and V2 are displayed at the PFD. Flap retraction speed and the FTO are calculated by the FMS. A default value for V2 of 099 knots is displayed to indicate that V2 has not yet been set. A new value for V2 is set at the flight mode panel. FMS calculates altitudes for thrust reduction, acceleration, engine out acceleration, and engine out thrust reduction. After VFTO, the approach page can be accessed by pressing the takeoff approach key prior to VFTO by the line select key adjacent to approach on the takeoff page. The approach page presents FMS calculated approach data depending on the selected flap setting. The approach page also allows access to the go-around page by pressing line select key 6 left. Access this page now to review data on the go-around page. The go-around page, accessed from the approach page, presents computed thrust reduction data that FMS controls to in the go-around. Line select key 6 right allows return to the approach page. The go-around page is presented directly if the takeoff approach key is pressed during a go-around. Selecting the mode page presents the strategic modes that determine FMS calculations active over the whole flight profile. By default, FMS presents the economy mode with calculations for time and fuel on board at destination. You will recall from the FMS overview that the economy mode balances the cost of fuel, crew and maintenance to calculate the most economical profile. The mode options are to select minimum fuel, which leads to a performance plan using as little fuel as possible, and minimum time, which programs FMS to fly the aircraft at its maximum speed within the flight envelope. The selected strategic mode can be overridden at each phase of flight, climb, cruise and descent by selection of the tactical mode. Touch the tactical mode key to review the options presented during the climb phase. You will recall from the FMS overview that tactical mode options during climb allow selections of economy mode, maximum climb or manual speed. Tactical mode options during cruise are economy, maximum endurance, or manual speed. During descent, tactical mode options are economy, maximum descent, and manual speed. To continue with this learning activity, access the progress page by touching the appropriate mode key. The progress page presents data and allows access to related pages that allow flight monitoring. The title field displays the active mode and the active flight phase, and line 1 presents cruise flight level, optimum flight level, and maximum flight level. The progress page also displays present position, distance to destination, and as you will recall from earlier in this module, NavAid identifiers, mode of tuning, and FMS navigation mode. The progress page allows entry of an offset flight path, display of bearing and distance information to a selected waypoint in the FMC database, and access to the fuel prediction and descent forecast pages. Access the fuel prediction page. You will recall from earlier in this module that the fuel prediction page allows gross weight and center of gravity to be adjusted after engine start. This page also presents information about fuel on board and estimated fuel on board at destination. Note that data fields on the fuel prediction page are similar to those presented on Init page B. Return now to the progress page and access the descent forecast page. At the descent forecast page, data for wind direction and wind speed can be entered for 3 altitudes. During an FMS-coupled flight, the master flight management computer sends control commands to AFCAS to provide steering commands along the lateral and vertical paths. ATC intervention to fly radar vectors may direct the aircraft away from the FMS flight plan. To return to the flight plan, the Direct To page is selected. Touch the Direct To mode key to access the Direct To page. The Direct To page presents a flight plan page with the option to fly direct to a waypoint displayed on the page or a waypoint entered via the scratch pad. Selecting a Direct To waypoint initiates a turn to the waypoint. The Engine Out flight plan page A is displayed when the Engine Out key is pressed or an engine out occurs before the aircraft has reached the defined Engine Out SID. Star Confirm and Star Clear options are presented prior to the diversion point. If there is no Engine Out SID, or the aircraft has passed the diversion point and the Engine Out key is pressed, or an engine fails, the Engine Out mode page is presented, again with the Star Confirm and Star Clear options. To conclude this learning activity, we will briefly discuss pages accessed from the reference index. Locate the reference page by pressing the correct mode key. The reference index page provides access to several layers of reference pages that provide information to the pilot and allow information to be inserted and deleted. The Defined Waypoints page allows pilots to preview pilot-defined waypoints and to delete and insert up to 20 defined waypoints on the new waypoint pages. The Waypoints page allows information to be displayed for any existing database waypoint. Similarly, the Defined Navaids page allows the pilot to review and delete previously entered Navaid data and to define up to 20 Navaids on the new Navaid pages, while the Navaids page presents information on Navaids held in the database. The Closest Airports page displays the 5 closest alternate airports within a 2,000 nautical mile radius, with bearing and distance information. The D-Link page allows the pilot to send and receive route information, takeoff and performance data, and send position reports and messages via the ACARS using the FMS CDU. The Sensor Status page presents information about inputs that fail to provide correct data to the FMCs and provides access to the Discrete Inputs page. The Aids page allows the day and month to be updated and Aids data to be entered. And the Maintenance page, normally used by maintenance personnel, initiates a self-test, an annunciator test, displays a character test pattern, and allows a CDU key test. Finally, the AC status page, which is displayed on PowerUp, can be accessed from the reference index. The reference index pages and CDU pages discussed in this learning activity can be accessed during the independent exploration activity at the end of this topic. The pilot may enter data into the FMS using the alphanumeric keys. In some cases, special characters such as the plus, minus, and slash need to be entered in order to achieve the correct format for the data. The entry is made into the scratch pad where it may be checked and edited. Note that although there is a limit of 22 characters, this is never reached in practice. Characters may be cleared from the scratch pad using the clear key. A momentary push clears the last entered character. A push and hold clears the whole scratch pad. The command CLR may be entered into the scratch pad by pushing the clear key when the scratch pad is empty. This can be used for clearing data from a field. Enter some data into the scratch pad using the alphanumeric and clear keys. Touch Advance when you're ready to move on. Data in the scratch pad is entered into a data field by pressing the associated line select key. Enter the company route by line selecting the scratch pad entry to the appropriate data field. A data field may be cleared by entering clear into the scratch pad and then line selecting it to the chosen field. Clear the company route by line selecting clear. Data may be entered into the FMS by means of line selecting from a list of options. In this case, the screen shows a number of standard instrument departures on the SIDS page. Any one of these may be entered into the FMS by pressing the line select key next to it. The database holds many standard instrument departures from Gatwick. The others would become visible and available for selection by scrolling. Select the Dover 6 Mike standard instrument departure. The selected SID is enunciated. In this case, a runway selection would also be made by the same method. Finally, note that any selection that would alter the flight plan is indicated by an asterisk. In this case, inserting the selected SID. In this section, you will have the opportunity to explore the structure of the pages of the CDU. The mode keys and next page keys are active. In some cases, the line select keys may be used to access other pages. When you select a mode key, the structure of the available pages will be presented. During this exploration, it will not be possible to use the scroll keys or to update data via the CDU. This exploration does not include the key test.